Good morning, fourth graders. Miss Munoz is here for math today. Remember what was discussed about our two colored pens. If I'm writing in green, I expect you to go with me. And if I'm writing in red, I expect you to stop and watch. Okay, let's get started. Our goal today, or our objective today, is I'm going to do like a shortcut. Today, I will. So instead of writing the words today I will every day, I usually just put today I will. So today I will learn two types of length measurements. And our two types are going to be the US and metric. Okay, you probably already saw a little bit of that discussion in the first video that you were supposed to watch. So in the US, which United States, we use something called the US customary system, which we use mainly, and what we're going to be using this year is we use a foot, which most of you have seen a ruler, so a ruler is 1 foot. We also use a yard, which you probably don't see that one as often. A yard is 3 rulers. So like here's just a regular school ruler. A yard would be 3 of these. And because it's 3 of them and it could break easily, it's not usually plastic like this. It's usually like a wood huge ruler. And then we use something called inches. So we have feet, yard, and inches. And inches are on my ruler. There's 1, 2, 3, zoom, all the way to 12. So 12. Okay, these are measurements that you're pretty familiar with. I do like to do a little drawing that kind of helps me just remember, because you're going to have to remember how all these measurements are related. So I like to kind of do this drawing, and I'm going to do it down here where I have some extra room. I always think of 1 yard, and 1 yard is the same as 3 feet. They have the same value. So in 1 yard, there's 3 feet, and in each foot, there are 12 inches. So if I remember this picture, what this tells me is I can really use this a lot. I can say, oh, there's 12 inches in 1 foot. I can say there's 3 feet in 1 yard. Or I can say there's 12, 24, 36 inches in 1 yard. So I can use this picture to help me see how all those measurements are related. Okay, the metric system is what you saw in your King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk video. So we might actually add that on here. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. But because we're talking about length, our base measurement is meters. Meters. Okay, so we're going to be practicing both the US system and the metric system. And we kind of talked about that in our other video, that because we live in the US, we need to know this system. But because the entire rest of the world uses this system, we also need to understand this system. Okay, so we do have some steps today that we're going to pay attention to. Our first step says, identify the units you are working with. You really need to ask yourself, what are you doing? Are you doing US or metric? The reason is because whichever one you're using is going to determine what tool you use. So step 2 says you're going to make a conversion chart, and I'll show you what that means. We're going to use a conversion chart for US. So if it's US, we're going to make a conversion chart. But for step 2, we're going to use King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk if it's a metric question. So our tools are going to be different. So we're going to determine what measurement system we're using, and then we have a tool for each measurement system. And then we're going to use our tool to convert our units. Okay, so I know this is a lot, but the reason we took really good notes is so you can refer back to these and use them to help you. Okay, so let's actually look at a problem and see what this looks like. I'm going to put down my green marker and pick up my red marker, which means you could set down your pencil and you could just get ready to watch. Okay, so my first problem looks like this. Jennifer has a piece of yarn that measures 4 yards. Jennifer wants to know how many feet there are. Okay, so my first step says, what system am I using, US or metric? Well, I see the words yards and feet. So which system are those part of? Are those part of my US system or my metric? They're part of my US system. I might even want to put a little note to myself. So they're my US system. Okay, so I can do a couple things right now. I probably would like to draw my picture because I'm going to refer to that to maybe help me. So 1 yard is 3 feet and each foot has 12 inches in it. And if you draw this a lot, you'll get really good at it like I am, really fast and good. Okay, so we know what measurement system we're using. Now let's look at our next step. Create a conversion chart. And because we're using US, we are going to create the conversion chart. We only use King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk for metric, and we're not doing metric. So we're going to use a conversion chart. Now, a conversion chart's more like a table. So we look at our 2 types of measurements we're using. And notice I'm not sure how many are going to go here. I just put 2 for my labels. I'm talking about feet and yards in this problem. That's what my measurement is about, feet and yards for this problem. So since I know that I'm going to be using feet and yards, those are going to be the title of my titles here, feet and yards. It doesn't really matter which one you put first at all. You can just choose. But again, it really won't matter. So yards and feet. Okay. So, what do I know? What do I know about yards and feet? Well, I know using this that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. Okay, does that help me answer my question? Let's see. Jennifer has a piece of yarn that measures 4 yards. Jennifer wants to know how many feet there are. She doesn't want to know how many feet are in 1 yard. She wants to know how many feet in not 2 yards, not 3, but her goal is to know how many yards are in 4 feet. Well, if 1 yard has 3 feet, how many feet are in 2 yards? I would say 6. And it looks like I'm multiplying by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. How many feet would be in 3 yards? 9. And how many feet would be in 4 yards would be 12. Because they're growing by 3 in my feet because I'm adding 3 feet each time. So my answer would be right here. 4 yards is equal to 12 feet. So because it was a US system, we used our conversion chart. And I used this picture to help me. Okay. I'm going to look at another one. Let me turn my book. And I still have my red pen out, so you don't need to grab your pencil just yet. Okay? Okay, here is my next question. My next question says, the whiteboard in Marco's classroom is 600 centimeters long. Find the length of the whiteboard in meters. Okay, so what are my measurement words? I see centimeters, I see meters. Okay, so let's look at our steps. My first step says I need to identify the units. Am I using US or metric? Are those US words or metric? And you could look over here to help you. It doesn't look like US words, but they do definitely look like metric words. That meter word, definitely, it's a base measurement. Okay, so now that I know it's a metric system, let's see what I'm going to do next. Step 2 says, create a conversion for US or use King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk for metric. Okay, so let's do this. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And my base measurement for this problem, remember my bases are meters, liters, and grams, but it's meters. Okay, what do they want here? Let's read our question again. The whiteboard in Marco's classroom is 600 meters. Find the length of the whiteboard in meters. So they want to know centimeters equals how many meters. So they want to go from centimeters to meters. So this is where they're starting, and they want to go to meters. So what did they do? They moved 2 to the left. So I can take my number, add a decimal at the end, because when there's not a decimal, you always add it to the end, and I can move it 1, 2 to the left. So what is my answer? 6.00, which is the same as 6. So 600 centimeters equals 6 meters. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's try some together now. Okay, please open your book to page 80. I just realized, I think when we started the lesson, I didn't tell you what page we were on. I hope you figured that out. I am so sorry. I will get better at that. Okay, so we're on page 80 right now, and we're going to do a few together. Our first one says, how tall is the tree in Madison's garden in inches if the tree is 4 feet tall? Okay, well, step 1 says, am I using what system? Well, I see inches and feet. That is the US system. I might draw my picture to help me. 1 yard equals 3 feet, and each foot has 12 inches in it. Okay, step 2 says that we're going to use a conversion chart for the US, and these are US measurements. So this chart, they've already kind of given it to us. Okay, so what do I know first about inches and feet? Well, I know in 1 foot, there's 12 inches. That doesn't quite help me because they want to know how many inches is in 4 feet. So 2 feet, and we could think backwards. If 1 foot has 12 inches, 2 feet has 24 inches. 3 feet has, let's add another 12, which would be 36, and 4 feet must have 48 inches. So my answer is 48 inches. Okay, let's look at our next one. A snail traveled a distance of 3 meters in 1 hour. How many centimeters is that equal to? Okay, so we first have to determine what system are we using. I see meters and centimeters, which tells me I'm using the metric system. Okay, for the metric system, I don't recommend using the charts because it's really hard to memorize them. I recommend we're going to use King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And our base measurement is meters. Okay, what does our problem say? Our problem is 3 meters equals how many centimeters? I might use my abbreviation, centimeters. Okay, so for this problem, they're starting at meters and they're going to centimeters, which means they went 2 to the right. So let's take our number 3. If there's not a decimal, we always add 1 to the end, and let's move 2 to the right. Okay, so what I have to do with those empty loops is add zeros. So I'm getting 300 decimal, which is just the same as 300. So 3 meters equals 300 centimeters. Okay, boys and girls, I want you to try some on your own. Remember, we don't have to master this today, but I want you to at least try some. So you're going to try page 81. Use your notes to help you. Okay, I'll give you a hint on number 2. I don't know if you're going to be using this, so you might want to be crossing that off. Okay, after you do page 81, tomorrow we'll be moving on. Have a great day. Bye-bye.